All right, we're going to welcome Robert Scheer from the Indianapolis Star, talking now about photo integration with mobile and news organizations, and some tools and tips and all the above, huh? All right, thank you.
Is this mic on? Kind of? Yes? Okay, good. All right, so hello everyone. My name is Bob Scheer. It says Robert up there. That's my byline, but Bob is what my friends call me. So to all of you, it's Bob. I'm a photographer at the Indianapolis Star. I've been at the Indy Star since 1998. I grew up in California. I went to San Diego State for, where is she? Not in here. San Diego State for 1 year. Then I transferred up to Humboldt State University up in far northern California. I was a biology major, graduated, discovered photography late in my college career, decided between art and journalism, and decided journalism because I could get a job, and did that for about 4 years. Worked in Humboldt County, worked in Santa Cruz, California area. Then I moved to Indianapolis in 1998, and I've survived 10, 11, or 12 rounds of layoffs, so, right? It's good. Thank you, thank you. So it's good. I absolutely love my job. So I am going to cover a lot of things during my half hour, and I'm going to go quickly, hopefully. Okay, this is a video file, so I'm just going to stand here and push buttons. Is it going? Yes. Okay, travels. Whoa, it's a little pixely. But okay, there I am, right there. It shouldn't be pixely. Yes, that's the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet, and I covered him 19 years ago and got my picture taken with him.
You still look the same.
That's me and supermodel Tyson Beckford, and he's the one on the right, so he's the really good-looking one.
We needed to know that.
Yeah, he's the handsome one. That's at the Indy 500. That's me with reporter Will Higgins in northern Iraq. We were there in 2008 covering Indiana National Guard soldiers. That's me getting a face full of cake from a member of Team USA roller derby. I did not know her, but I'm there, and it was her birthday, and a cake fight happened, and she just grabbed me and slammed cake in my face, and I said, okay, take my picture, because this is really cool. Yeah, I did not have to wash my hair. Okay, here are some still photos. Covered a migrant worker camp in northern Indiana. 2004 Olympics, that's fencers. This is, if anyone knows, you'll know the importance of this person immediately. This is Rachel Den Hollander with her husband, Jacob Den Hollander. Rachel Den Hollander was the whistleblower for disgraced former doctor Larry Nassar up in Michigan. I was part of the USA Gymnastics coverage team for Indy Stars, myself, 3 reporters, and an editor, and we published our first story the night before the Olympics in 2016. And within hours, she emailed us and said, I've got a story for you. We went down to Louisville. Myself and one of the reporters interviewed her. We both asked questions. And this is a portrait I made during that session. That is a juggalo. And juggalos are followers of the Insane Clown Posse. I covered the gathering of the juggalos this past summer in southern Indiana, and hands down, it's one of the most interesting, bizarre, cool things I've ever covered. So, very interesting group of people. I had a good time. Look forward to it next year. George Hill with the white shirt, that's his mother. That is the night that he was drafted to the NBA. So it's a photo I like a lot. A Somali Bantu individual on very short notice. He and his family let me into the house. It was about time for evening prayer. Part of that is going in to wash the feet before the evening prayer. And I asked him, he spoke very little English, but through a lot of hand gestures, can I come photograph you? And he said, yeah, that's fine. So, okay. That's not my pictures. That's not my photo. Oh yeah, it's a platypus. Okay, why am I showing a platypus? Because it's got fur like a mole, feet like an otter, bill like a duck, tail like a beaver, poison quill like a stingray, eggs like a bird, right? That is a bizarre thing. The first people who discovered that thing, or discovered it, people who lived there discovered it long ago, but people from Europe who went to Australia, they found this thing, they taxidermied one, sent it back, and they thought it was just a bunch of parts of animals jammed together. So that's a platypus. And the reason for showing that is being original, don't always follow the rules, be able to do a lot of things well. Or pretty well. Platypus does a lot of things pretty well, right? So anyways, I love that animal. And it draws into 2006, working as a still photographer with a big giant staff at the Indianapolis Star. And there were some people on the West Coast, well, a guy named Richard Coqui Hernandez, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, worked for the San Jose Mercury News, a guy named David Leeson at Dallas Morning News were starting to mess around with video. And I was like, interesting. So another photographer and I at the Indy Star, a guy named Sam Ritchie and I started, we said, hey, can we get a video camera? And we started messing with it. I sent myself to a workshop called the Platypus Video Workshop that was in Ventura. It's no longer in existence, but it's a 10-day intensive. You learn A-roll, you learn B-roll, you learn how to use a tripod, you learn how to edit, you learn how to sequence shots and think about big giant projects. And I'm convinced that going to that one workshop kept me here and alive in journalism. I'd be alive, hopefully, but alive in journalism. So, just to piss people off, yes, I know that's Comic Sans. So, deal with it. It's Comic Sans, I used it. Adapt or perish. Okay, here's what my gear list was in 2005. A couple cameras, I use Canon cameras. Nikon's are great too. Now Sony and Fuji cameras are fantastic as well. A couple cameras, whole bunch of lenses, radio triggers, a broken tripod, a map of Indy, police scanner, which isn't a big thing like that. That's the gear that I had then. These things, those things in the red, those things went away, flip phone, scanner, map of Indy. So here's what I'm using now, right? Same kinds of stuff, same camera, but I've got 2 tripods, plus a third travel tripod that I take. This is one of my 2 tripods. XLR cables, a lot of mics, an iPhone that does this stuff. It has my maps, my police scanner, my Wi-Fi, my video editing and still camera stuff, and all the other cool things that smartphones do. So that's what my life looks like now. Okay, I'm going to show a few clips here, a few video clips from work that I've done. First one is a massive project on high fence deer hunting and breeding bucks for big, ridiculous antlers. And also a disease called chronic wasting disease, which is prion disease, which is very similar to mad cow disease, or Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease. And that, anyways, so I'll show a clip from that. Keith Cooper is a gentleman who was locked up for 9.5 years in Chicagoland for a crime he didn't commit. USA Gymnastics, we talked about that a bit ago. Clip from that. This past summer, they gave me 5 days to get on a kayak and kayak on the West Fork of the White River because we're doing a massive project this fall that's going on right now. It's the 20 years since a giant fish kill. A company spilled some poison into the water and we're updating it. And also pruno making. Anyone know what pruno is? Yeah, prison. It's prison booze, prison hooch. So I used to write a wine column. I wrote a wine column for 2.5 years for the Indy Star, just kind of as a side thing. And because trying to diversify, and I'm a pretty good writer, and I'm from California, so I know wine a little bit. So they let me do this thing. And part of it is I have fun, and I made pruno. So.
A few decades ago, a small group of hobby farmers took in wild deer and began raising them as pets. Wildlife officials never anticipated that this would spawn a $3 billion industry devoted to breeding bucks with freakishly huge antlers sold to high-fence hunting preserves. Faced with regulations that could impede this booming trophy business, deer breeders are hounded by questions. Are these deer livestock or wild animals? If they're livestock, what's the sport of hunting them? While there's debate over these issues, one thing is clear. They're not breeding these bucks for the quality of their tenderloin. It's all about the rack.
For years, I dreamed of being free. Y'all committed a crime against me. The criminal justice system, no, I'm guilty until proven innocent. They failed me.
Any corporation that puts their reputation above safety, honestly, isn't something that I would want to be a part of at all. And I was part of USA Gymnastics for a very long time. It doesn't matter who you're protecting. It doesn't matter that they're part of your organization and you want to save face. How about saving me?
I woke up at about 6 o'clock or a little before, got a great night's sleep on this massive sandbar. I'm kind of calling it an island. There's trees and some dirt and stuff like that, but it really is a sandbar. It's in the middle of the White River. It's just north and east of the Fashion Mall. Mash it all up. You keep the bag warm, and in a couple days it starts to ferment because the yeast from the bread combines with the sugar, and the little yeast start to grow, and they produce carbon dioxide, which fills up the bag with carbon dioxide, and you got to open it, a couple times a day to burp the bag, right?
That's about the best way to put it.
Yeah, you burp. You got to burp the bag. You got to let it out, or else the bag will explode in your kitchen. You'll just have to move out of your place, so it'll be done. All right. So this is delicious homemade pruno. We're going to see
To friendship.
To friendship. My head is enormous. Oh,
It's not that terrible, actually.
it really isn't. Okay, what about smartphones?
Hey, this is Vic Reichert with the Indianapolis Star. I'm here outside of the Amy Beverland Elementary School, where at about 8 a.m. this morning, there was a small fire in an area under renovation. Okay, so letting the subject determining the workflow is a key part of what I do. One thing I think about is whether to go live. So a situation like, these are a couple things. We do at the Indy Star, we do a live Friday night lights football style show. We've got an in-house people at a desk. We get feeds from all over the area, and we've got a person who mixes them into a live, semi-live, there's a little bit of a delay, show that we put up on our website every single Friday night during football season. It's awesome. And the key thing is, this is cool, we'll talk about this in a minute, is we're selling ads for it. We're making money off that. We've got sponsors. So that is, whenever we produce a show like that, we need money to come in. And it's completely paying for itself and then some. It's awesome. This is a bit of something called vertical video, which people who've done video for any length of time tend to know vertical video, and you'll see all kinds of memes about it. But I'm slowly thinking, okay, we need to start embracing it. A lot of people have. That's a natural way to hold your phone, right? That's fine. I know we live in a horizontal world. People, we don't live in towers. We don't live in big, tall, skinny trees where we're constantly doing this. We live in a horizontal world. But it's a natural way to hold your phone, so it's fine. This is from a film festival premiere that a reporter who's got one of the coolest names I've ever heard, Domenica Antonina Bongiovanni. That's her name, and she's one of our Indy Star features reporters. Did that. It's all pixely, you can't read it, but that's okay. So I think about that. This is something called a TVU pack. Some of you have seen this. It is a very expensive piece of gear. It goes on your back. There's a cord that runs to a camera, and it takes that signal and it splits it out among a bunch of cell carriers, Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, whatever. Sends it out, and then all those signals reunite back in at the ranch where a person is mixing and pushing a button and making this live. We used to use it, but we kind of stopped. It got really, really expensive, and we didn't want to pay for it anymore. But you'll see a lot of TV stations will use a TVU pack to go live. Or just do what most people do, is One more clip. Okay, this is a bit of drone footage from a fire we had recently. Okay, so live Facebook workflow. You can Facebook it yourself. That's the easy way to do it. You all know what that is. Hold it vertically, that's fine. Plan with your editors. If you're not putting it up on your own Facebook, plan with your editors to push it up on the company Facebook. You can get admin, and I get, on occasion, admin ability for our Facebook at the Indy Star. I like to dump it the second I'm done because I do not, by mistake, want to post any of my, rantings about fish tacos or, cool bands to see or what Bonnaroo is happening this year on the Indy Star Facebook account. I don't want to do that. Or coordinate a TV live shot. Signal varies, and this is something that all of you who've worked in the field, you may get a crappy signal and you cannot go live or do the thing that you want to do, and so you need to make sure that your editors are prepped, that I may be out in the boonies. There may be a million people around me and they're all sucking up all the bandwidth and I can't do this. So having editors who are forgiving is very important in my line of work. So non-live workflows, 2 different paths that I take. So a smartphone, determining if it's horizontal, okay? If it's going on our platform, it's going to be horizontal. Or if we're pushing up to Instagram, we want to push up to Snapchat, which is still kind of used, but TikTok is kind of the new thing for younger folks. Then I would go vertical. Facebook, I would go vertical. Twitter, I would go horizontal. Stabilize, I want to stabilize this thing as much as I can. There are all kinds of little gizmos to do. I can put it on that. I can mount it up on something like this and hold that. That sucker will go right on the table just for stable stuff. This thing, I don't know, $30. I don't even know what brand it is, but it's, I don't know, you can find these on Amazon, your place of choice. Get close to the subject for the visuals, but more importantly for the audio. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Clip and ship. I use iMovie. There's some other apps that you can use. I do a quick trim, and I'll ship it a lot of times right to Twitter, where my people will grab it off Twitter and put it on our website. Big camera, tripod, amateur if you want to have amateur-looking video, handhold, unless it's like a breaking news situation where there's a riot or something like that where you need to move them around, but tripod. Good sound, more B-roll. A-roll is the interview, B-roll is the stuff that supports the interview. Basically everything but the interview is the B-roll. Edit, send, and notify. Lots of communication.
DTs is a medical emergency. It requires transport to a hospital where the patient would be observed and medicated on IVs and watched. DTs is a medical emergency. It requires transport to a hospital where the patient would be observed and medicated on IVs and watched.
Right? Where's the mic? It's right there. Boom. I probably should have hit my little...
DTs is a medical emergency. It requires transport to a hospital where the patient would be observed and medicated on IVs and watched.
And one more.
DTs is a medical emergency. It requires transport to a hospital where the patient would be observed and medicated on IVs and watched.
There it is. So I use this all the time for my backup audio. I mic and I use this for backup. Put it in airplane mode because you don't want calls or anything like that coming in. Airplane mode is a must. Turn on audio recorder. I'm going to talk about the one I use in a second. And I pop it right, if I have an OtterBox, I open that because the mics at the bottom always know where your mic is. I pop it right in front of them because people have phones on desks all the time and it's not distracting. So to me it isn't. I don't know, it just looks like someone's sitting there and you got your phone next to you. So that's a great backup microphone. Favorite apps? Are you a Visco girl or boy? That's a Visco app. I like that app a lot, but one I like better is this one called FilterStorm. I love FilterStorm. It's good. It does all that good stuff, creative control, plus you can caption and send to an FTP site out of this app. It's wonderful. This is Hipstamatic. This is like an old school photographer's app that I like to use. It's very impractical. iMovie. This is one called Filmic Pro. It's, I think, the best smartphone video app there is. It's really full-featured and bomb-proof. It's fantastic. This is the audio recorder I use. It's called Hindenburg. Problem is, it's expensive, 30 bucks. Okay? Most expensive app I have by far. But I love this app, super easy to ship audio, and it has a lot of, you can have a lot of creative control with it. Police Scanner, 50 Radio Pro. That's how I keep track of what's going on. So anyways, that's them all written down. Other notes or other apps that I like, Visco, of course, Evernote, Tape a Call, recording calls, another video editor, Film R, scan documents, PDF them. Otter is voice transcription, which I use a lot because I work on a lot of these long projects, and that's really good to have a transcript of an hour-and-a-half interview. Sunroot, it's kind of a dorky photo thing. It's like if I'm setting a shot up and I want the sun to be here, I can look and see with this app where the sun is going to fall at 3 hours later. So anyways, that's an app for that. Teams, coordinating with your colleagues, and Dropbox. Most of you know what that is. It's sharing files. Right? How do we get paid? That's a key thing. No more free lunches, flip subscribers. That's a key thing that we're doing. So getting paid is a big, big, big thing. We've been trying to figure this thing out, and most of you know that newspapers have been giving away our product for free for many years. Went online in the early 2000s, and here's all our stuff. I'm opening a restaurant, here's all the food, come eat all the food. That's fine, we're never gonna charge you. Oh, wait, hold on, we're gonna charge you now. Wait, it's supposed to be free. So that's the thing, is getting people to recognize that the quality of work is there and they should be paying for it. And we're ramping up our aggressiveness about flipping subscribers and getting people to subscribe. And so far it's kind of working. I think we're a little bit away, but it's good. That's what we have to do. That's how we stay alive. So I'm going to talk about on versus off platform things. On platform are things like this. This is raw video. This is an accident that happened in Indianapolis a couple days ago. A car flipped out of a garage, a couple people killed. They were from, Chicagoland. Absolutely. This is a video I made earlier this week. It's a bus, no one was injured during this thing. So a bus went into a building, and I set up a tripod and just let the thing roll as I was transmitting photos. And it got pulled out, and I turned that into a time lapse, slapped it up online. Watch this bus get pulled out of a building, right? I had people say, well, I'd like to see a bus get pulled out of a building. So, right? Why not? So, and these are on-platform things. And the nice thing with these, yes, there are fecal coliform bacteria in the White River, right? How's that for a headline? So the nice part about these is we can track the metrics. We can look at a program called like Omniture, and we can tell exactly when people are looking at things, where they are, what platforms they're using, and we can make decisions about when we post things. When do we post them at 7 in the morning? Do we post them during the lunch hour? Do we wait till people get home in the evening for certain types of things? One thing we know is if you've got a really sensational story and a so-so video, you want to mate that thing up, because if the story is doing gangbusters, you can piggyback other things along to it to get more eyes on. So, integrating those things well is a thing we're figuring out now how to do. Off-platform: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. Right now, we tried this experiment a couple years ago with Facebook. Hey, let's put stuff on Facebook, put videos up, and Facebook, 85% of people tend to watch Facebook videos with the sound off. So we were putting captions and subtitling things, and that is tedious, but we did it because we kind of had to. And we figured, oh, okay, we'll get some money. Then, Facebook changed things up and they weren't quite paying what, we thought we were gonna get paid. The thing is, all these platforms are trying to make money. They're trying to make money for themselves first. So how that benefits us, we need to be in charge of our own destinies. And that's flipping subscribers, putting our content on our website. Curiously, Des Moines Register is having some success with YouTube. They're putting, they've got obviously the Iowa caucuses are happening. And they've got politicians coming into editorial boards, they're videoing those and slapping those things up wholesale, an hour at a time, and they're getting tons and tons of hit, and they're actually monetizing that, which is good. And at the Indy Star, we're kind of thinking, that we explore a little more of that. Journalists, right? What's a journalist? It's a reporter. Traditional thing. Journalists are reporters. Traditional way that it's thought of. But journalists are all these things as well. And this is, I don't know the backgrounds of everyone, but this is a struggle that I've had in every newsroom that I've worked with, is making sure all the editors and people understand that all these people are journalists as well. And that is important when it comes to planning meetings. And I can tell you how many times that I've been part of major projects and I get brought in late to the discussion as far as having input about what makes good visual potential, whether it's still photos, whether it's video, or we have our graphics people. We've got great graphic artists, a couple of fantastic ones at the Indy Star, and they get brought in late, and it's frustrating for them. So, this, bring people in early and often is a mantra that photographers are trying to educate people on. So visual journalists need to be part of the process. Don't be a service department. That is giving a nod to the responsibility that we have as visual journalists. We need to generate our story ideas. We need to follow through. We need to come up with good sources. We cannot just wait for people to hand us ideas and go shoot them. That is maybe a traditional mode of photojournalism at some newspapers, but to truly get as much respect as we're owed, we need to actively be a part of that. Always be pitching things, always be working sources. And it's great because on my staff, I've been there 21 years. We've got another photographer who's been there 27 years, another one who's been there 17 years. And reporters will often come to us, hey, I need a Muslim person who's grew up in Europe, who's male or female, but between these ages. Do you know anyone? Yeah, hold on, let me text someone. Yeah, okay, I got you a source. So it's because we've been around, we've got so much institutional knowledge. Okay, this is the part where I sneak in a diversity talk. All right, I'm gonna sneak it in. I'm gonna do it. Value what journalists bring to the table. And this stems to a talk that a gentleman named Scott Page up in Michigan, who also works for the Santa Fe Institute, started saying, at least publicly, about 3 years ago. The idea is, where do you keep your ketchup? I keep my ketchup in the fridge. Most people keep their ketchup in the fridge. But if you're from Britain, or you're an African American and you live in the South, you may keep your ketchup up in the cabinet, okay? Not always, but you may do that. So when I'm out of ketchup and I've got a sandwich, I need to, oh man, just some ketchup, and I run out, there's mayonnaise, mustard, maybe some salsa in the fridge, and I'll put those things on the sandwich. If I keep my ketchup up in the cabinet and I run out, I might think, there's vinegar. I'm gonna put vinegar on there. Maybe I put an extra tomato on there and I add some spices. Here are the spices right here. Maybe some cumin, maybe some, pepper, that kind of thing. So that sandwich is going to be different. So that idea is based in wanting a diverse set of people to come to the table from all different walks of life. And in the newsroom, practically, that's having photographers at all these meetings, right? Because we have different ideas than the word people do. So that is a direct push for that. So Ideas, more diverse background, more ideas, more problems get solved. Okay. I feel like I'm on warp speed here. All right, mobile gear I like. Okay, these little suckers, I don't even know the names of these. You've seen these. They're 15, 20 bucks. Probably see one at Costco this weekend. Pick one up. Good for your iPhone, good for whatever. These are awesome. But for mics, this is a mic that I use a lot. I don't have it with me. I should have brought it. But it's got about a 20-foot cord. It's 25 bucks on Amazon. It might be 30, it might be 20, I forget. But that's a little Jimmy Jammy I like. It's made by Audio-Technica. It's got a little battery. The only downside to this is it does not have an LED light, so I don't know when the battery is dying or dead, which is a bummer. But I replaced that battery. I'll put a little mark on it. I replace it every 6 months, and it's been fine. So maybe it goes 6 months in a day. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it goes 7 months, but I replace it 6 months, and it's fine. So that's a rig I like. But there are a lot of other, I don't work for Audio-Technica either. There are a lot of other mics out there that you can use. Let me take a drink of water. It's down here. Yeah.
So, for voice, for audio, do you not recommend voice memo that comes on iPhone?
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. If you have it, use it. I've used voice memo. The reason I like Hindenburg is it will record in some different formats, and it's very easy to ship to myself. So, yeah. But voice memo is good. If you have it, use it.
Okay. And then I have a question. So for you using your phone for audio, because I've run into this problem a couple times, I use it as my backup audio as well, but keeping it out of the camera and without me holding it, like if there, because I'm usually in situations where there's no desk. So do you have like a recommendation of, does it matter if it's in the shot, or how do you feel about it? Because like you just had it on the table. Like, was it in your shot or no?
I mean, sometimes it's in my shot. It doesn't bother me.
No. Okay.
It just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe you have other people say, "Oh, get that phone out of there." I don't know. It just because I think it's something that people. It's like having a glass of water on a desk. It's just a thing that's there. Phones have become so ubiquitous; they're just on tables. So, and they're in pockets. That's a better way. You're going to get better audio by putting it right here. People have phones in their pockets. I'll probably take it out of the outer box. It's a little smaller, but I'll put it here. The key is, if you've got someone you're talking to and there's someone who does this a lot, that's going to be a problem. But if they tend to be someone who looks straight ahead, or they're at an angle and their head's kind of at the same position, the audio level will be constant if it's here. If they tend to do this a lot when they talk, I'll probably put it on the table in front of them. So I won't have to mix those ups and downs in post-production. Yeah. You could just yell it out.
So this gets to another audio technical question, but in audio production, we like to monitor our sound. Do you have that luxury when you're...
I do. Yeah, with my big cameras, it's a 1DX Mark II. With my big cameras, I've got an in and an out. So audio goes in, and I put headphones on, absolutely, and I monitor that. Usually I monitor that. When I do interviews, I will set up the camera normally. Put that in there. Hopefully I didn't break anything. I'll set it up and I'll get away from this. I'll get away from the camera. Because when I'm doing this, if I ask a question, and I always do ask questions, I don't subscribe to the idea that the photographer or videographer or visual journalist is a button pusher. Because if you show up and set up your stuff and don't do anything else, you're just a button pusher. But if you're asking questions and being involved and getting people to clarify things for the video, that's so much better. But to answer the question, I get away from this thing, which means sometimes I will take this off because I now become part, I'm seen more of as a journalist instead of someone behind the camera, if that makes sense. So it's just how I work. But yeah, I monitor audio.
If there's not another question, I have a
Yeah.
follow-up. We've seen in audio and video an acceptance of what would just a few years ago be inferior quality, right? Phone tape is used in podcasts now, and phone video is much more acceptable. Where are you still seeing the roadblocks? Are there people who still give you pushback on that quality? Is it editors? Is it people within your team? Is it readers?
I don't. For me personally, I don't. I tend to be, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but on my staff, my audio tends to be cleaner than most other people. So, but we do have roadblocks with people not recognizing things like, oh my God, there's a loud bus, going behind the subject and saying, can we pause for just a second? Wait till the bus passes, and then you continue your interview. That's a thing that not everyone is doing. So just hearing for those extra things. Obviously, there's a crying baby, barking dog rule that if you have the sound of a crying baby or barking dog, you better have a shot of the crying baby or the barking dog, because people are going to be keyed in on that sound and thinking, why doesn't somebody feed the baby, right? Why is that dog, something wrong with it. So anyways, you better have a shot of it in your video, or else you won't hear anything else that's said. Yeah.
Do you have kind of a basic rule when it comes to video editing programs that you prefer? I've been looking into them. Like my school, we've used Adobe for the longest. That's really what I have. But I'm just looking into other options to have on my computer that you might like for editing purposes.
Because I work for a big newspaper, I use what they give me. So we used Final Cut Pro for years, all the way through version 7. Then they went to version 10, and we jumped ship. We did not like it. Version 10 is good now. If you have version 10, use it. It's a good program. But we jumped ship, and we now use Adobe Premiere. So that's the program that I use. I love it. Some things it's better than Final Cut Pro version 7. Some things it's worse than. So use what you have.
Would you say that keeping up with the latest phone releases is a worthwhile investment for modern journalists?
No. Keeping up? No. I don't know. Save your money. Put it in your retirement. I don't know. There's an iPhone 7. So it's fine. It does, I don't know. It's fine. The thing I do like and I do appreciate is having the big cameras be state of the art, because I do a lot of sports. I cover the Colts and things like that. So the autofocus and motor drive is really fast and all that. But with the phones, I don't know if you get a 6 or a 5, use it. So don't sweat it. Yeah. Or an Android. I mean, Android phones. If I were going to start from scratch, if I get laid off tomorrow and I were going to go out, I'd probably buy a Pixel. So the cameras are really good. Yeah.
So from a tools and technology perspective, you were showing kind of, what it used to be, what you have now. Mm-hmm. What do you feel is missing, and what you might need moving forward as you kind of notice that path? I'm really curious to learn, you've got all these great tools, but then as you start to work with other folks who are also within, in your team, someone who might be new, what do you need?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. And I kind of neglected to talk about the future a little bit. What the future is going to be is we need to always be looking at what the young people are doing. And right now, young people are doing things like, there's an app called TTYL, and talk to you later. And what people will do, a kid gets home from high school, they'll turn on their TTYL app, they'll just drop it in the middle of the room on a table or something, and they'll go and do their homework, or paint their nails, or do bicep curls or whatever. And friends will ring in all evening, and they'll accept it, and they'll have this big giant roaming group chat with 5 or 6 people all evening long. And people stay on the phone for hours just with this random group chat of people bouncing in and out. That's kind of what's going on now. So So as journalists, I don't know, how do we think about those things? How do we think about getting everything so it's here? Maybe in the future you've got, and I know, I'm sorry I missed the talk, but someone talked about haptic suits. I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 years from now, you know, I'm sent to an Olympics or a football game or a war zone, and I'm covering something, and I've got some sort of data recorder that can record all these different things, smells and touches and things like that, and temperature. And those things get fed into a haptic suit that someone is wearing to have this really immersive journalistic experience from a place or an area or a vacation site. Maybe that's coming down the road. I don't know. But the key is so much is how do we monetize it? And that's the struggle that we're all having. That's the puzzle that we're trying to solve, is how do we get paid? I don't know.
Okay, so my last question, sorry.
Yes.
As a person who's not working for a giant news company and you want to be, because I do documentary work by myself, travel by myself, what at least the minimum requirements do you think you should take? Like, I have like a normal Canon Rebel, but what like is good to travel with, not too big, bulky? What would you say to have?
A very small tripod, a very small mobile tripod. Your Rebel is great. It does really nice video, and a smartphone. And your laptop. Okay, for editing. Those 4 things. If I had those 4 things, you'd be good. With a basic lens, yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about, yeah, I don't know.
See all this stuff, I'm like, I don't have any of that, so.
I know, it's so pricey. It's, you know, they give me all this stuff, so I have no excuse to not, you know, have a really good image. So, is that it? Am I done? Am I being run away? No, the lights went off, okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
I think I wanted to make sure everybody had their questions answered. Okay, great. Thank you, Bob. And we'll just move right into Daryl talking about drones.